Good evening. Once again, we're going over some of our leaders to learn from, leaders of learning. We're looking at how district, school, and classroom leaders improve student achievement. Our go to text again coming from Leaders of Learning, one of my favorite instructional leaders, Richard Dufour and Robert Marzano. Let's go ahead and just look at a few things as we talk about school improvement. I'm going to be covering a few things tonight for our aspiring leaders. I want to look at some failed strategies and assumptions that we've had in America and our schooling system. Nation at Risk. That was a report, educational report, 1983. The president was Ronald Reagan. We had 1989, George Bush. He had another report came out about how to improve education. It had a lot of flaws in it. George W. Bush came in with No Child Left Behind, and it was fatally flawed. And then we have our 44th president, Barack Obama, with Race to the Top. With that administration, with Arne Duncan, they felt like, again, teachers needed to be incentivized. People needed to be paid in order to perform. I want us to look at page 15, and I want you to think about in education. All of these strategies are flawed in the fact that we believe that teachers just lack motivation. We think that if we incentivize them, then they're going to jump to the effort. They're going to put forth effort, but that's just not the case in American schooling. What we found is no matter how much you pay, it's not that teachers are not motivated. And we believe with our studies in leadership that we have to build the collective capacity of the teachers in every school building. Remember, the school is the people. It's the culture of the school. The people make up the school. It's not the building. It's not the mascot. It's not the coat of paint. It's the teachers in the building. It's the people that make up the school. And we have to build the collective capacity of teachers. So I just want you to think about that tonight. Think about building the collective capacity of teachers. The quality of our school will never exceed the quality of our teachers. Again, the quality of our school will never exceed the quality of our teachers. Let's go to page 34 in our text. And we're going to look at a few things as we talk about some of the things that, as we talk about coming from a district perspective, a lot of times school districts make the mistake thinking that they can have a top-down approach, or they give certain schools site-based autonomy. This school is a level 5 or a high-performing school. We're going to let this principal and that faculty do what they want to do. This school has been performing well. We're going to let them do what they do. That's not the best approach, because what you're going to have, they're going to have pockets of success. For a school and a school system to be successful, you have to build the capacity of the principals in the building. And you have to have what we call a simultaneous loose-tight leadership. And what we mean by that is loose-tight is that you allow the schools and the principals to lead within the boundaries established by the district's goals. You have to have common work for all of the schools. All the schools have to have common work, but it has to be a balance of being loose and tight. Schools cannot just be driven top down from the district, but we have to have some loose tight around the goals. The goals are what we're tight about, the district's goals, and we want to give some autonomy as to how to, we're going to have what we call articulating clear, non-discretionary student achievement goals for the district. But we got to have, again, we have to be able to articulate and be clear about what we want our schools to do. But we want to allow them the parameters to get there. Everybody can't be on the same page every day of the curriculum in every school. So we have to have a loose tight. Page 31 of the text. I want you to think about 3 things for our schools. Learning is the fundamental purpose. We're going to build a collaborative culture through high-performing teams. So learning is the fundamental purpose. You have to build high-performing teams. That's number 2 in your school. You have to build high-performing teams. And lastly, You have to focus on results. All right? Focus on results. So, number one, again, learning is the fundamental purpose. Two, build high performing teams. Build a culture of building high performing teams in your school. Number three, focus on results. I want to talk about just a few things. Schools and districts have to be tight on the language that they use. A lot of times you have different names and labels throughout the district, but nobody really knows what we're talking about. So creating a common language for your school and not using superficial key terms is very important. I want you to think about in your school district, what does it mean to have a guaranteed and viable curriculum? What is a formative assessment in your school district? What does it mean to have enrichment in your school district or intervention in your school district? And what is a SMART goal for your district and for your schools? These are some things we have to be tight about. Leadership in the district has to be tight about developing a common language around some of those terms. Everybody hears these things, but not every school knows what these terms mean. And I want to say too, lastly, principals are indispensable. No reform effort, no matter how worthy, is going to go past the principal. If the principal can be indifferent, or the principal can have total opposition to whatever the district is trying to do. Remember, if the principal sneezes, the whole building catches a cold. So as we're looking at page 37 in the text, principals are indispensable. The instructional leaders in that building are indispensable. Either they're going to fight it or they're going to be indifferent. So we have to make sure we build every principal in the building their collective capacity. No reform effort is going to go anywhere without the principal on board. A key for our districts that are successful, superintendents, principals meetings have to change. The principal meeting can no longer be a sit and get. We have to have collaborative efforts around solving what we call implementation challenges. Many principals are out there, they don't know how to implement certain things that the district is trying to do. We have to be very clear on having principals meetings when we have collective and collaborative effort around how do we resolve issues with implementation. How are you doing it at your school? How do you do interventions at your school? Let's resolve some of these clouds that remain in our districts at the principals meetings. And I'm going to say this, as we look at chapter 1 and 2, focus is a prerequisite for school improvement. Focus. If we want to improve our schools, we have to have a focus. Focus is a prerequisite for school improvement. I want to ask you as a school leader, is your school a school of choice? Do parents drive miles to get to your school because they choose that school? Or are parents driving past your school? So are they driving miles to get to your school? Is your school the school of choice? Or are they passing by your school to go to another school? Or do your parents just say, this is the best that I can do? This is the school that's in my neighborhood. I can't provide transportation. My child has to go there. And the question is, if your school is that in one of those areas, are you making it a school of choice? All across America, especially in this viral season, when our schools open back up, we need to have schools that are schools of choice for our community members, for our parents, for our scholars. I want to talk about, as we go to our next book, and very informative for our practice, A Basic Guide to Supervision and Instructional Leadership. Basic Guide to Supervision and Instructional Leadership. We have 3 schools. I want to go over this. It's just a case scenario tonight. I want you to think about your school. Is this one of your schools? We have Finney Tyler High School. 1,200 kids is in a lower to middle class neighborhood. The teachers joke around. Teacher quotes say, we have an ideal situation at this school. We like it here, and the principal leaves us alone. We do what we want to do. We're allowed to teach. The principal doesn't come in. Hey, we have fun here. We have a great time. Next school, Germondo Elementary. 600 kids in a wealthy neighborhood. The principal tells you, I run a tight ship. Teachers are here to teach, and I am here to see to it that they get the chance to teach. When you walk through the school, you do your rounds, your instructional rounds, you find out at this school that all the teachers are on the same page and that the principal has standardized the curriculum. In other words, no teacher is off of that page on that particular day. Monday, everybody's teaching this lesson. Tuesday, everybody's teaching this lesson. Lastly, Progress Middle School. It's a school where the principal teaches a class while he or she lets a teacher observe a classroom. You also visit the planning periods of these teachers, collaborative planning, and you find out they're working hard on an interdisciplinary unit. In this school, you have the music, art, PE teachers planning along with the ELA or literacy teachers and the math teachers on a unit. There's a warm and supportive work environment. You also notice two things at this school. The students are engaged in active learning, and the teachers give feedback that is supportive. So once you think about these schools, the first school, Finney Tyler, everybody's having fun. We call that a congenial school. We love to teach here. The principal leaves us alone. The kids can do better, but they're good kids. We like it here. We love it. We don't want to leave. That's what we call a congenial school. Germando, it's a conventional school. This is what most of our schools are. Everybody walks in line. The principal standardizes everything for the teachers as well as the students. Progress Middle School, our last school. That's the school we're working towards as we talk about building capacity. A collegial school. In this school, from the principal all the way down to the teachers and to the teachers' assistants, everybody's studying, always trying to become a teacher, always ever learning in this school. So you have a congenial school, Finney Tyler. You have a conventional school. It's by the book. The congenial school, happy, happy, joy, joy. I love teaching here. People leave me alone. But the last school, a collegial school, always studying, always trying to get better at teaching and learning. I want us to look at a few things as we talk about these schools and as we talk about supervision and leadership. As we talk about the schools, we look at supervision of instruction and instruction versus supervision. All right? Tyler High School has little supervision of instruction, and Germando has too much. So you have one school, little supervision of instruction, and Germando is too much. And in America, we look for more of our collegial schools. This is what we're going to have. When we have our schools come back, we have to have collegial schools. Schools that are ever focused on learning and always looking to get better and stronger. Rather than having a hierarchical relationship, the teachers have to have what we call an informal or what we call formally designated supervisors. In the new way that we're going to have collegial schools, we have to focus on teacher growth rather than teacher compliance. And teacher involvement has to be ongoing with reflective inquiry. We're always trying to coach our teachers to get better, to get stronger. Every day, every moment in teaching is about coaching and reflection. The traditional schools, we have what we call supervision, a watch over mentality. In our new schools, with collegial schools, we can no longer afford to watch everything. We're going to have to build capacity with our teachers around the standards, teach our students, but also we have to think about what type of school do we desire to have and what type of educational environment through our instructional leadership are we going to promote in order to move toward that instructional vision. Again, I want you to think about, is your school or our schools a school of choice? When school opens back up, is my school going to be the type of school where parents drive across town to get to? Or is my school the type of school that parents pass by or skip to go to another school further away? I want you to think about that. You don't have to answer, but I want you to think about that. Remember, we want to create a great place to work. We want to develop teachers, and we always want to manage talent in our schools. Developing teachers, managing talent, and creating a great place to work. Three prerequisites for every school leader to look at to make a better school: develop teachers, manage talent, and create a great place to work. That's all I have for you today. Again, we're continuing our book study with Leaders of Learning. We're in chapter 2, and also Basic Guide to Supervision and Instruction, chapter 1. This is Michael Lowe, Dr. Lowe. Great to talk with you tonight. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.